Spoiler alert, okay? Spoiler alert, y'all. I am going to talk about the latest Critical Role, and I just want everybody to be warned, okay? So, you've been warned, spoiler alert. And hey, y'all, I'm Gregory. This is 1 in 20 D&D. Welcome to DnDaily number 66. That is funny because it makes me think of Order 66 when Chancellor Palpatine became Emperor Palpatine and basically destroyed the entire Jedi Order and caused all of that chaos and made Darth Vader and so forth. So, I'm a Star Wars geek, can't help myself. So anyway, DnDaily number 66 and makes me think of Order 66 from Star Wars. Hey, if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's cool. Maybe you're not a crazy Star Wars geek like I am. Back to D&D and that kind of stuff. Critical Role and their Kickstarter. They are at $7.99 million pledged. That is amazing. They're like less than 7,000 away from $8 million. I feel like they'll probably get that by the end of the day today. If not today, for certain they will have it by tomorrow at the rate they have been progressing. Now, why am I excited? I just finished watching this morning. I just finished watching and listening to last Thursday's Critical Role, and wow, what a session. It was kind of a sleeper session, and again, spoilers, so if you don't want to hear about it, maybe come back to this one or skip this one for today, but I'm going to talk about it because wow, is it amazing, and it speaks to why D&D is so awesome, and what can make D&D really awesome. So, check this out. So it's kind of a sleeper episode. Not a whole lot happens during the majority of the session. They deal with sort of the aftermath of defeating the fiends in the last session, and they talk a little bit about that and how Caleb nearly died, Caduceus nearly died, and how Caleb was mind controlled, and they kind of have a little bit of inter-party banter about it. Then they go and see Lady Olios, who is the one that they were sort of working for, this dark elf, that turns out she is what they call, I guess what Matt called a den mother, which is really interesting. I like that. So apparently in the Kreen Dynasty there are dens, and then there are sisters, mothers within the den that run it. That's sort of what I took from what he was saying. Again, it's essentially it's based on dark elf mythology and creatures, but Matt Mercer has taken it into his own world and made it his own, and so it's slightly different than what is in like the Forgotten Realms and that kind of stuff. So the Kreen Dynasty, and okay, I'm going to cut to the chase. Here's why this episode was amazing. At the end of the episode, they go and they get an audience with the Queen of the Kreen Dynasty, the leader of the Kreen Dynasty, which is amazing that they were even able to accomplish that. They walk in, they have people from the Empire, which are basically the Kreen and the Empire are enemies, but like two of the main characters, Caleb and Bo, are both were Empire citizens or whatever. They all kind of were, except not Yasha. Okay, so only 2 or 3 of them are from the Empire, but they were all traveling around and they all met in the Empire. Then they went and became pirates and did all this other crazy stuff, so they're kind of like outcasts. They basically claim in this episode that they're kind of are not claims, that they're just homeless, that they don't have a place because they don't belong anywhere. Well, the Queen sees through their ruse, doesn't believe them, and basically it turns out when they first crossed into Jorhash, which is where the Kreen Dynasty is, they had a combat. And guess what? the dark elf that they had combat with survived and got away and recognized them. And none of them realized it because he was wearing armor during the combat. So they didn't recognize him, but he recognized them. So they go to talk to the queen. They present their case to the queen. And it's kind of weak. Their rolls were very average, like 9s and 10s. Very, very average. Not use the mote of possibility during the episode, which means, so the mote of possibility is this artifact that they found. It's a Kreen artifact. It's a dodecahedron that they can stare into, and it gives them essentially the luck, like the luck feat where you can re-roll a d20. Not roll the natural one when she was trying to convince this person of what she was saying, and decided to use the mote, and the queen sort of noticed something weird. So madness ensues. They're about to be arrested. Okay, so she calls for the guards because this guy that they had combated basically says that, you know, they came and fought us and defeated our men and la la la. And so the queen calls for the guards, and in that moment, in this moment of like high tension, what's gonna happen? Oh my God, we're getting arrested. We're being put in chains. In that moment, the brilliant Liam O'Brien, who plays Caleb, the human wizard, child of the Empire, tormented, tortured, a tool of the Empire in his past, or at least he was being molded to be a tool of the Empire, but is not at all at this point. In fact, he hates the Empire because of it. Caleb steps up and says, wait, that is all true. We are of the Empire, but we do not love the Empire. We are enemies because we came to bring you something. Now, you got to go way back to the beginning of this whole thing. Like, very early on, like within the first 5 or 10 episodes, I think, like way early on, they found this mote of possibility. They took it from a Kreen soldier that was trying to get out of the Empire with it. He had snuck into the Empire. He and I think 1 or 2 other Kreen soldiers, infiltrators, had gotten the mote out of one of the towers in the Empire and was about to leave, was like badly damaged. And the Mighty Nine, not knowing anything about this story at the time, defeated him, took the mote from him, and then he died after that. It sort of was their fault, but it wasn't really, because I think he was already like on death's door anyway. But that's irrelevant. Back to the present in the session, Caleb basically hands over the dodecahedron. The whole party's freaking out because they had found this other artifact called a tripod. They don't even know what the tripod does because they never had a chance to try it out or test it, which I'm not exactly sure why they didn't, but I sort of know because they didn't want to be tracked. They didn't want to be found, and they didn't know what it would do, so they were like nervous and afraid of what might happen. Caleb pulls the dodecahedron out and gives it to the Bright Queen. And guess what? That's more or less how they finished the session. The Queen is like in tears. The whole room goes silent. Everybody is shocked. They walk forward. They're like, she basically says, okay, release them. It is unbelievable what just happened at the end of this session. And that's how they end the session. Now we gotta wait another week to find out what's gonna happen next. So here's why that's awesome, and here's why D&D is so awesome. In that moment, in that instant, when Caleb made that decision that he would present this powerful artifact that the Kreen were searching for and that the Empire is somehow protecting and might be one of the reasons that Nott's husband was captured in the first place, which is why they went to Xhorhas in the first place, Caleb hands it over. So here's why that was awesome. A, he saved the day. They were about to get arrested, potentially like put to death like in that instant, as he said at the end of the session, or as Liam said at the end of the session. So they don't know what was going to happen. They had no idea. Everybody else was like clueless of what to do, and they were just like, okay, arrest us. Liam, as Caleb, made a decision to just like shoot the moon, and like, and Sam Riegel said it in the session. He said, "Go big or go home." Totally unexpected. No one at the table figured that would happen. Not even Matt Mercer, I think, counted on something like that happen. I imagine Liam is a pretty crafty dude and a really sharp player. I imagine he always had that sort of in his back pocket. Like, if things go really, really, really bad, this is what I'm going to do. I imagine. Maybe not, because he's an incredible improv artist as well. So maybe he thought of it in the moment. But I don't know. But look at me. Look at me. I'm freaking out. And this session happened last Thursday. I am just finishing it, and this is how excited I am about it. Wow. If you haven't watched Critical Role and you love D&D, this is why Critical Role is so amazing. It gives us insights into how to play really, really good D&D. Setting the stakes high and then trying to go even higher. Caleb did something that was totally unexpected. That's what this is all about. That's what this DnDaily is all about. And I'm going over, it's going to be longer than one of the usual ones because, wow, I have a lot to say about this. Going outside of the box, doing the totally unexpected, like what would be, most people probably in that moment would just be like, okay, we're going to get arrested and then we'll have to figure out how to break out. That's the expected thing to do. Or to try to fight your way out. That's also the expected way to think about this. Giving what they want, like giving up the goose, is not expected at all. That's a huge risk. That's a huge acting risk. That's a huge improv risk. It's a huge risk in your D&D game. That's what makes this game great. Now, not only have they gone from being enemies of the Kreen to being free, they're also going to be like heroes of the Kreen dynasty. They returned one of the most important relics in the Kreen dynasty to the Queen. To the Queen. They presented it to the Queen. Nobody even knew they had it. And they just presented it to the Queen. Oh my gosh. I do not envy Matt Mercer over the next week or so because they're taking a week off. This Thursday, there's not going to be a game. So next Thursday, April 4th, when they come back, I mean, I imagine there's going to be a whole lot of, I don't want to say exposition, but there's going to be a whole lot of, like, information presented to the party about, like, what are the Kreen? Who are the Kreen? What is their history? What is this dodecahedron? What does it mean? Why is it important to them? How are they going to use it? What is the tripod? How does the tripod work? Like, there's a million questions. I can imagine in this week's critical recap, Danny Carr is probably going to be going almost as nuts as I am, if not more so. Oh my goodness. I'm thrilled. It's Tuesday, so I can't wait to... I might have to listen to Talks Machina live tonight just because I'm so excited about hearing what they're going to talk about regarding this episode. This was one of the best episodes, or turned out to be one of the best episodes they've had in a while, and they're all great, but man, talk about a cliffhanger. I'm beside myself. So the last thing I'm going to leave you with today in this slightly longer than usual DnDaily is do the unexpected. Do the unexpected. When you do that, and I'm not saying being crazy, chaotic, just for the sake of doing things crazy and chaotic. Okay, that's kind of fun. But I'm saying, like, especially if you're the straight guy, like Caleb is kind of the straight guy. He's not a joker. He's not necessarily a risk taker in that sort of sense. And here he is doing something completely unexpected. totally out of the blue, totally outside of what would have been the typical normal thing to do. I'm just thrilled. What a great session. I have nothing else to say today. I am completely spent in this. Whew. I hope to see you at a table someday. Until then, keep rolling 20s. And remember, as I've been saying lately, it's your game. Play your way.